good.
Welcome to Nostalgia Pilots, a Gundam fancast that cannot rid itself of the gunpowder soaked into its body. I'm Hugh.
I'm Jurd.
And I'm Jason.
And I'm Spence.
And we're here to talk about Mobile Fighter G Gundam Episode 9, Powerful Enemy, Chapman's Heroic Challenge.
There are some sweet quotes in this episode. That was probably one of the choicest, but there are definitely some good, solid quotes.
I have one major problem with this whole episode, and it bothered me the whole time. I watched the dub.
Ooh.
You
Okay, do
couldn't
tell.
get an English actor to do the voice?
I thought that was weird too, but I think that I would be really bothered if Domon had like a faux Japanese accent the entire time.
Well, you got to remember.
There.
You also got to remember back in the 90s, like they weren't importing a voice actor from the UK. It just wasn't. It wasn't happening.
You have enough talented voice actors between Bandai, Funimation, and all those others. You could have found one that did a decent, posh English accent.
Yeah, I have yet to meet a voice actor who doesn't have an English accent they think is just great.
Yeah, it's on their reel. They got one on the reel.
The weird one is in the dub of Ghost in the Shell, there's an episode where, Standalone Complex, there's an episode where they go to London and the same thing happens. And it's like, just hire an actor for voices.
Let's address the question that comes up basically every episode. We have the Royal Gundam in the sub, but we have, in the dub, but in the sub we have the John Bull Gundam.
I want to know who's John Bull. Who's John Bull?
John Bull is basically like the British Uncle Sam. Like he's this fat British man who wants you to go farm, basically.
So it's the Winston Churchill Gundam?
Yeah, kinda. A little bit.
It's literally a propaganda persona, very, very equivalent to Uncle Sam.
Yeah.
And basically the only place I know of it is from Irish revolutionary drinking songs that my parents would play when I was a kid.
Oh.
On St. Patrick's Day.
So
part of the troubles.
That's kind of an interesting point because to me, most of the time when I hear it used, and I think there was a time when it was more positively considered like Uncle Sam, but for some reason, whenever I know it, it's very much that same situation here where it's derogatory to a certain extent. Like it's always like that goddamn John Bull, and you're like, oh, but I suppose there's a whole a subgenre of songs with that goddamn Uncle Sam that you guys probably aren't super familiar with.
Yeah, the place I originally remember hearing it first is in the song Patriot Game. They talk about John Bull in that.
Oh, see, I'm going back to my Harrison Ford Patriot Games memories.
Which is a reference to that song.
Too.
Right? That is definitely a song about the Troubles.
Right. Fair.
But so the thing about the Gundam itself is, so we've been talking about the styles of the different Gundams, and we noticed that this particular Gundam has a Beefeater hat.
Yes.
He does have...
It is basically a British Royal Guard uniform. But
it was momentarily a little confusing because the Bolt Gundam also has that very, round hat.
Yeah.
But it's not
got
as tall.
A big Russian hat.
Yeah, he's got what are they called? I have one. I actually...
A Shanka or something to that effect?
Yeah. It's got the flaps and the front folds up. Looks like you're about to go spend some time out in the really, really cold wilderness.
Yeah, actually, okay, so we open on this fight, and we get a return from George, which is nice to see him, although it doesn't go well.
Yeah, it does not go well for him. Which is what, to be fair, I think this is kind of interesting because this isn't what you expect from one of your Motley Crue team members so early on in the series. You don't expect them to take a loss this early.
Before we get too far into this, I do want to note we got a new intro
from
hints and stuff.
Yeah, you know what? I actually sat through the intro this time because I was like, I don't remember it being this awesome. All of this animation is new to me, and it actually invigorated me on the kind of mediocre theme song.
Yeah, and you got to see it was more of a, hey, we're Team Gundam, and you got to see the bigger picture of the Devil Gundam and all this wonderful updates that, because like I was bored with the intro before, and then I just noticed, hey, this is new. Okay, what else is new? And you have more of the Magic 5 people gathering to fight the big bad.
See, much more of an implication of a team in the intro than we've actually had in the show so far, even.
Yeah, sadly, I see what sucks is it's very spoilery because, again, like you said, they've not hinted at any sort of team up or gathering of Gundams yet. Like specifically, like you kind of get the hints of it because of how they've structured the episodes, you know, figuring out ways for people to lose but not lose and have a reason to come back and fight Domon.
Right, but that's typical of most anime intros. You know, Jason and I are big fans of Food Wars, and I'm doing a rewatch right now just because it's comfort food, haha pun. And I'm noticing that the intros are very not spoilery, but foreshadowing what's coming. And so I think both that is a standard in anime to kind of, this is what you can look forward to through the rest of the season. But also bringing in new people, kind of giving them a little recap of, hey, here are some visuals of the characters, and this is kind of what they're going up against. So I thought it was pretty cool, and I thought it was worth bringing up.
Yeah, it's again, this is one of the most unremarkable of the Gundam themes, and so to spice it up in any way, shape, or form is a good thing. Because again, I would definitely put G Gundam's theme closer to the weaker side of theme songs. Again, especially when you stack it up against White Reflection and the original Mobile Suit Gundam, and things like from Char's Counterattack and things of that nature, like these awesome, rememberable songs. And then you get one talking about somebody's finger.
Well, you guys don't appreciate that Shining Finger is a magic spell for the whole world.
Okay, so to loop back to poor George in the mists of London, the fog of London, we find that, and well, okay, so yes, to your point earlier, yes, we do see George get defeated, but it's also immediately laid out on the table that George has been beaten by a cheater. Like that cheating implication, they're using other mobile suits, dummy mobile suits, which is kind of an interesting callback to the earlier Gundam Wing, you know, empty mobile suit kind of conundrum that they were going on with the AI systems. But in this case, it just seems like they just sort of stomp around a lot, which that's a lot of storage space and expense just to have a bunch of decoys in place. But anyway, we'll get to that later on in the episode, I suppose.
You know.
I also want to know what type of weather machine you got to control this fog, or how big of a stage fog machine do you have to block out parts of the UK?
Like,
well, it's got to be some kind of weird molecular fog, because as we see later in the episode, and we kind of see it with George, it manipulates the instruments to make you less able to, like, you can't, we hear them talk about how the infrared is down and you can't see visual. You know, I imagine that this is kind of like in Avatar flying through the Hallelujah Mountains, where all of your sensors are completely gone or rattled or just not making any sense. So you have to go by your extra senses.
Are you talking about Avatar: The Last Airbender or Avatar the movie with the blue people?
Avatar the movie with the blue people.
Man, I haven't watched that movie. I'm going to go back and watch that now.
I don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves, but what we have here really is, once again, the puppeteering of a master engineer woman who is really running the operation. And this guy's just stumbling around basically in a stoned daze, fist fighting whatever robot he stumbles across in the streets of London. Basically, he's a chav. He's a chav and a robot, popping pills down his throat and punching people.
I mean,
because General Chapman is the Neo England fighter,
and
he has previously won 3 of these Gundam fights in a row. So he's been doing this for a long time. He didn't win the last one, which didn't come up, but he's won 3 of them in a row in the past.
It will come up as to why he didn't win.
Yeah.
Well,
Right.
Yeah. There are reasons.
So he gets the drop on George because George is busy distracted with a bunch of decoys. And then he sneaks in and essentially so there's a sequence in which they're in the fog and they kind of look each other, and then the John Bull Gundam levels its big old Gundam flintlock rifle thing, and it's right at the head of George's kneeling robot, and then you cut away and there's like a gunshot. And that was a really brutal sequence, even for a cartoon, I have to say.
It definitely was a little scary, but also, Jason, you got your rose bits.
Yes, I did.
Yep.
Rose bit. Well, it was one rose bit. I don't know what happened to the rest of them, but it was one. It was a singular rose bit.
George implies that this is like the last of a series of fake ass robots, right? Like it seems like he's fought quite a number of them.
Like he's been doing this all day.
And he's not Captain America, so he can't keep doing this all day.
No. So we like cut away to like Domon, who's like entering a bar. It's like, I hate
It's not
that
just any
sound.
bar. It's the casino bar.
I love how his senses let him know someone's head has been shot off. Like, I hate that.
Well,
Well,
there
he
was
says,
like
"I
a
hate
weird
that
air raid
sound."
siren noise in the sub. So I think there was supposed to be like a sound that signifies maybe something with the Gundam fight.
I think it was the sound of the gunshot, and people who are particularly attuned to various firearms will be like, or various sounds will be like, yeah, I know that specific sound that's a laser rifle or something like that. You know, I know people from the military who can name an aircraft based on the sound of them going by, and they can tell me specifically what kind of aircraft it is.
But we're also in this sequence. We've also been shown that Domon has left Rain behind yet again. Because he's
going into a casino and he wants to let loose a little before she comes and drags him out.
Does he though, or is he just picking a fight?
Well, he's picking a fight because Domon is always picking a fight. A couple in this time where he specifically says, "I'm not going to pick a fight," and then he turns around and picks a fight.
Well, okay, Domon is the biggest hypocrite, and he proves it time and time and again in this episode.
Yeah, man.
So after that, we do get our like stalker intro, who does explain who this guy is. And my question is, is he just like the Gundam fighter for all of the UK, or is there like a Gundam Neo Scotland running around and a Gundam Neo Kent?
That'd be amazing. Like that would be awesome. Like Neo Ireland. You just like
obviously Neo Ireland has one because it's a republic.
No, but if they broke it up, Neo Wales would have the horse skull, and it would be Christmas themed, and no one would be able to say the name of it because I can't say the name of it, and I'm part Welsh.
Yes, like the name for the Neo Wales Gundam is like a page long, and it's all Y's and W's and L's.
And except for one, it's all consonants. It's just all consonants. It's fine.
While we're talking on this sort of archetypal whatever, did you guys get the impression? So, actually, just to skip ahead a little bit, in that casino, sorry, what's his first name again? Chapman. What's his first name?
Gentle.
Oh yes, Gentle Chapman. All right.
Because we're back to
Gentleman
weird
Chapman?
names after Andrew.
I don't know. Yeah, apparently. Okay, so Chapman is caught out cheating in a card game, which that whole thing, a man tries not to think about what might happen if he loses, is the weirdest way to bet that I've never been able to walk into a casino and said, if I win, you give me a car. And if you win, or if I win, I just try not to think about that. Let's not worry about it. Anyway, Gentle Chapman does get busted cheating, and he's like, no big deal. And I kind of wondered, is this the reputation like the English have sort of in the Pacific Rim area, maybe showing through like a bunch of drug addict cheaters who run around like starting fights?
I feel like this was just a prelude to how far he's fallen.
Right. And I think everyone like at the table, because they all pulled gun on Domon when he exposed the cheater, they're all like his guys, so they don't really care. They're like, yeah, I'm gonna let the boss win at cards.
Yeah, fine.
And again, the first thing I thought of when they pulled guns on him is like, those don't work on Domon. But I forgot that he was powered down just like the Hulk in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, so that guns do work.
Yeah, they like didn't work in the first episode, and now they work. I think it's like inverse ninja theory. Like if one person's pointing a gun at Domon, he can't dodge it. But if 50 people are, he's going to catch all those bullets. It's like the level of drama in the gunshot determines how deadly it is.
Yes. A solo gunman is not dangerous enough for Domon to pull out his shinobi techniques. Like it just and like my thing is, did Domon know that this was going to happen, or was he just hoping that he would get caught in a cheating scheme? Like, because it feels like he kind of knew that Chapman was cheating and wanted to call him out on it just to pick this fight. Like, I would have, I like, you know, Jurd, I think you're kind of right that there is this essence or kind of overarching like feeling that people know that he's become a cheater in most aspects, and thus why he, you know, hasn't achieved or earns the respect from other people that he should have garnered, having been a 3-time back-to-back champion.
Well, there's also the issue of his weird, vague medical problem. Like, other than the fact that, sorry, what's the line, Hugh? He reeks of gun smoke, or
Yeah, Okay, let me get this whole line. Like, he's suffered from his many fights over the years, yet he cannot rid himself of the gunpowder soaked into his body.
So, okay, I'm going to assume what they mean. He has some sort of maybe mental trauma, like maybe suffering some heavy PTSD or something. But the thing is, he has these little moments where he kind of freaks out, whatever the cause, be it psychological or physiological. I have to admit, as soon as you put me in the context of there's a British man and he's having a weird psycho breakdown, I'm like, is he the Ripper? I don't know what it is. Every time I'm immediately like, I think this guy might be the Ripper. I don't know how it's going to work out. I don't know how he's traveled to the future. I think he's the Ripper.
But I think it's just the idea that he's been an athlete for longer than he should be, and his body's just giving out.
See,
and he's taking drugs to make his body last longer. It
reminds me so much of the wrestler.
Faster. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, and I think because in the subtitle it says that which I don't understand because Manon, you find out, is the one doing the dummies in the fog, but he's taking the stimulants, yet the stimulants are giving him extra sensory perception to see through the fog. Like Spence says, it takes down radar, takes down visual. So basically you're just wandering around in a robot blind, but for some reason the Adderall pills he takes can help him focus.
Yeah, it's a bit of a vague magical condition that he has. Like, we can kind of say he's breaking down because he's pushed too hard, but it's not really very specific. Like, has he had too many concussions or what? And his cure is also a bit of like vague, this is how drugs work back in the day. Like, oh yeah, it gives him superpowers and he can see in the dark.
Yeah, pretty much. It's just in the same way that Chico's sister was dying of a vague, unnamed space virus. He has a vague condition that is solved by vague drugs.
Yeah, like, and I think if we had made this in 2020 or 2021, I think this would be very similar to some of the things we've seen in like Gundam 00, Gundam Unicorn, and Iron Blood Orphans, where they actually address the trauma that having a child soldier murder hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people has on said child soldier. Like,
right. So, but what we're missing at this point is that Rain and Domon get caught in the casino, and then they get invited to stay at the to stay in some very fancy accommodations and get to see all of his awards. over the last 3 years. I can't help but think that this is an intimidation tactic. Basically, again, the Gentle Chapman is trying to discourage this fight. He's like, you young blood, you're not. I will defeat you, and here's how I will show you. Stay in this guest room that has all my trophies.
Yeah, he's flexing on Domon. Like, he's legitimately trying to flex his previous prowess on Domon. And Domon, being the disrespectful douche that he is like, whatevs. I'll still fight you, bro. Let's go.
Well, Domon, we find out later that Domon was literally trained by the guy that beat him. So here's the other thing is that, so he's like, yeah, I'm still going to fight him. Then a very injured George gets brought to their room. Rain is wrapping him up, and he's just like, I still want to fight him. I have to fight him for pride. And Domon immediately says, you can't fight him. And I'm like, hello, hypocrite.
Mind you, I will give Chapman mad props. This is, again, a great flex. Like, I just kicked the trash out of your friend. Let me throw his injured body at your feet to show you what'll happen to you. Flex, flex, flex.
Like, we don't have a doctor here, so I guess Rain's got to solve this problem.
Listen, Rain is literally everything this show's plot needs.
Yes.
Rain is Doctor Who, and that's all.
Yeah, Rain is the Gundam mechanic and also the pilot mechanic.
Listen, I was really kind of bummed that there wasn't more of a connection between Rain and Minot over the course of the episode, because really you can see that being like, they're kind of a reflection of Rain. If you stay with this man, this is what your life's going to be. This is what you're going to get in the end. He's going to be broken and you're going to be looking after this idiot.
They did make that connection though.
Yeah, it was
like when the two of them are watching before Minot starts interfering. She says this is what you can look forward to, and so then you have this dual soliloquy of this is how it works now, and this is how a warrior is and what it is to be in the life of a lifetime warrior.
Yeah, that's fair. I guess in the end, I'm never going to get what I actually would want, which would be like the episode being almost more about them entirely all the way through, and it just being almost backdrop, having the men like kind of tussling and dueling and fighting in the background. But anyway.
Well, yeah, I wanted that too, but I think we can all agree a show focused around Rain would have been much more interesting.
Yeah, fair.
So listen, we've already said that Domon should have got shot in the face in episode 1, and then for the rest of the 51 episodes, Rain was looking for revenge.
That would have been better. But we do cut to a scene where Manon is like treating Chapman in bed, and Chapman's like, when this is all over, we'll go to Mars. And I'm like, okay, this guy's dead. But
it's warmer there now.
Yeah, like Mars, the planet, has a better climate than England, which I find hilarious.
It starts raining in England. I wish I could go to Mars.
Well, I'm increasingly confused about the colonization state of space, because they're like, we'll go to Mars. Well, you've got colonies around Earth and you've got Mars. Like, you guys have a lot of options out there. Why are you so worried about this?
And again, goes back to our man Chico. Like, who cares if he wants to go to Earth and go to Mexico's oceans? Who cares? You've got Mars. Like, you've got the colonies. You've got Mars. What does it matter?
We need to actually address something about Rain specifically, though, because in that sequence where they're having the exchange at the table and Domon's like, oh, sorry, I'm not used to somebody being so polite to me. Fight me! During that sequence, we see the first drop of Minot dropping drugs into Gentle Chapman's drink. And on the way out, Rain does this smooth kind of little, quasi-smooth. She pretends to...
Yeah, no, Chapman just like takes an Adderall, like breaks it in half and squeezes it into his own teeth.
That's right, like, that's right.
Very blatant. He wants you to see he's doing it.
So on the way out, she pretends to kind of fall over and she gets some on her hand. And then as she's exiting, she tastes it and she's like, what is it? It's something like mental stimulants?
Yes.
But that's a bit of a weird thing for you to know the exact taste of, Rain.
Rain's a doctor.
And also,
Rain had to do a bunch of things to get her dual degree in medicine and engineering. Don't judge her.
and also though, like, I understand that because Minon says later that he doesn't understand, or he doesn't know, that Gentle Chapman doesn't know that she's doing the fog and the dummy robots. Like, but why is he taking mental stimulants then that allow him to see through the fog?
We've got to address how he takes them, though, because it's not like he's just popping one every now or brazenly tossing it in his tea. Like, when he gets in a fight, it's handfuls. It's like rattling around the cockpit.
Listen, he decided to become Tetsuo from Akira. Like, he's taking it all.
that is definitely like an Akira throwback right there with the drugs. When he's just shoving the whole handful in his face.
Yeah, like I wanted him to be sitting on like a throne of dismembered and dismantled Gundams and letting the pills fall from his hand. Like he's absolutely guzzling these things down like his name was Tetsuo and he's about to fight Kaneda. Like
he's definitely gonna like blow up the moon next week for no reason.
And turn into a blob and crush Minon.
Yes.
In the saddest moment of that movie.
So she does afterwards discover the warehouse full of decoys, but we also learn something about Rain, another thing about Rain this episode. Apparently, as established in the Canada episode, she has some sort of button in her belly that if you punch it, she instantly gets knocked out. Because every time she goes down for the count, somebody punches her in the stomach and then she's unconscious.
Yeah, I think that's just kind of like a shonen anime trope. Like, I don't know the medical basis of it.
Yeah, I suppose it's better than the Scooby-Doo head trauma thing.
It's like the Japanese version of that, though. It's like if you get hit in the solar plexus, you pass out. I'm like, do you, though?
I mean, yes. A punch to the solar plexus, especially a solid uppercut to the diaphragm, if done with enough force to compress the chest cavity, you can pass out or at least black out for a second because of the escape of oxygen and then not being unable to actually breathe in again. Mm-hmm. But it takes like Mike Tyson levels of force. Like you've got to take punches from a trained fighter for this to happen.
You don't know. That butler could have been pagan in a younger age.
Yes. Oh my god. This is Pagan's grandson. Oh god.
Nice.
Oh man. Oh,
you're welcome for that callback.
Was anybody disappointed that although the Gundams, when the fight actually began immediately after that, rose out of the Thames, they did not knock down the bridge? We did not get an actual monument destruction. Why were we expecting this specific monument?
I don't know.
I was wanting, like, because we got, let's see, because George is Neo-France, so we're not going to, so like, but if you've got the UK, like, there's Big Ben,
Well, we did see Big Ben in the ruins in the opening scene.
And it's still working, it's just, like, tilted.
Oh, see, Domon just kind of pushed it in his way past to see Gentle Chapman.
Yeah, so presumably that happened.
One thing that we do get is apparently Neo England still has Edwardian costuming because all the women are in Edwardian dresses. You are welcome, fashionistas who listen to this frickin' show.
Hey, I really the guy that's next to the women who's just like walking his dog in that shot.
Oh yeah, it's just like, what the hell?
Hey, listen.
Like the dog's trying to chase it. It's on the end of its leash. It's like, no, I can take it. I can take the Shining Gundam.
Also, come on, Spence. At least there is no tassels. Like, right? Like, there's no tassels.
I miss
the fringe. Tassels. It's fringe, and trust me, I get tagged in the Noin fringe gifs and memes all the time now. I did it to myself.
Yeah, so at least you got to give us some credit. There's no fringe. There's no tassels and fringe. Like,
so we don't get a destroyed monument, but we do get the X-Mansion style hanger underneath the tennis court that sort of opens up for the John Bull Gundam to rise up. against the big window, which is a hell of a good flex.
It actually put me in mind of the old Super Marionette shows like Thunderbirds or Captain Scarlet or something.
Oh man, Thunderbirds, good pull. I was watching that on Amazon recently. But no, like I also like Chapman. You can see in a better show the fact that Chapman fights at long range through basically a sniper rifle. You would understand his trauma and PTSD, especially since, you know, one of the things about snipers is that they specifically know if and when they kill something. Like there is no question, right? Like it's kind of like how, you know, in a firing squad, only one person has the real bullet and no one else knows, like, you know, everyone else has blanks. So like no one knows who actually did the killing blow. But for Chapman, having been doing this for so long and fighting so many people, and we don't even, and it shows that he was a like military guy before becoming a Gundam pilot. Like we don't know what his actual body count is. And so the trauma that he has could definitely be some sort of combat-oriented PTSD.
Yeah, I feel I absolutely agree. In a better show, this would have handled like a little bit better because he's constantly. I don't remember the exact phrasing of the line he's bandying about all the time, but it's something to the effect of, "In war, the strong survive," or "the winner is the strongest," or whatever it is. And you see that, and then also how he's slowly crumbling under this.
It's if in every battle someone must lose.
Yeah, it's like there's a winner and a loser, and you have to be ruthless to be a winner.
And then he hammers back a handful of pills and
pops you in the face.
Yeah.
Mind
How
you,
did he not OD in the middle of this fight is what I want to know, because the way he was shoveling all of those pills in his gob, he should have been ODing like within a minute.
Listen, when you go full Tetsuo, you never go back. Like when even Menno or whatever, Menon, whatever her name was, even mentioned specifically. I think the line is the side effects could destroy him, and she's talking to Rain at that point. But like clearly, this solution is not a long-term one. She knows it. They know it. Mars knows it.
So ultimately, what we're dealing with in this episode is the dangers of enabling. There is compassionate support of your primary circle, so your spouse or your close circle of support, and so you have the support, and then you have enablers. And Minot is totally an enabler. Like she's like, it would destroy him if he lost, so I rigged the game. And that is ultimately what has caused her husband to destroy himself. He didn't have a chance to grow and to move on after being retiring. He couldn't have a graceful retirement or anything like that. So she's just like, well, I don't want to see him lose, so I'll rig the game. I will make it so that he never loses until he dies.
Yeah, and it's also the same thing about like pro athletes not knowing when to actually gracefully bow out. It's why Muhammad Ali fought until he couldn't fight anymore. Foreman and so many boxers who would rather go out on their shield than actually carry it home.
Everybody's looking at Tom Brady for the same thing.
Although Tom Brady's strutting right now, like I can't knock that man right now because he just beat the best quarterback in football other than himself. So like which kind of sucks. Like he's old enough to be your grandfather in football terms, and he just skull drug you in the Super Bowl. That's gotta sting. But yeah. But also you get the idea that like it. Again, in a better show, they would address, the PTSD, the mental health issues, and how self-medicating is not good. But again...
And they kind of do, but they don't... It doesn't really land.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially since they say that self-medicating gets you superpowers, so...
There's a lot to like in this episode, but none of it gets dug into enough. Like the parallels between Rain and Minot or whatever... the whole like collapse of a pro athlete kind of situation. Like there's a lot to like, but it never quite gets up enough momentum.
So Manon starts her like giant, big copper phallic looking fog machines. And Domon's in trouble, even though
they're
like
mushrooms dispersing their spores, their fog spores.
Okay, you don't want to know what I put in my notes that I
ever.
thought they look like because big
Well,
old
now I
British butt plugs
do.
up in there. Anyway,
I do like that Manon gave passed out Rain like a little blanket before dumping her just like on the floor of her office.
yeah.
And then when she wakes up, she's like, "Oh, I didn't want to hurt you."
You punched her in the stomach.
Also, good on Manon. That's some solid punching. Or no, she did hire her butler, technically.
Well, yeah, her butler did it, but you know.
Pagan the Fourth.
Yes.
Oh, Pagan the Fourth, you have fallen away from the path I've put you on. Miss Relina, we must stop this. I can just see him.
Let us combine our forces with Miss Dorothy.
I can just see him being just so blatantly disappointed, like in the most like British way possible. Oh man.
Oh man, if they were still alive, Pagan would be ancient.
It'd be amazing. Like old grumpy Pagan. I'd watch that.
Like Michael Caine Pagan.
Yes. If we get a
Why
live,
do we fall down, Miss Relina?
so we can pick ourselves back up again. By the way, if you've not seen Tenet, please watch Tenet because it's Sir Michael Caine playing Sir Michael Caine. Literally, in the movie, he is named Sir Michael Caine. He is playing himself in a Nolan movie, and it is amazing.
I recently rewatched Inception, and I don't know if I'm ready to watch Tenet.
Oh, but just for the mic, and also Michael Caine telling you to get a better suit because his name is Sir Michael Caine, sir.
Speaking of suits, I will say that Chapman did have a like amazing suit.
The hot pink pants, I am with. I feel like
he's got the coat and then the overcoat and then like the scarf.
And he's got those salmon pink pants. Like he is wearing the colors befitting a champion.
Yes.
But I have noticed the last couple episodes, though, that we've gotten some considerably contracted transformation sequences. We're not even getting the spandex butt anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was no condom episode, but one thing that I will say about the start of this is that you had the two best dressed fighters fighting each other. And I'm like, I would love to see the walk-up lineup for that, you know? It'd just be like a throwdown of a glove. I challenge you, sir. Very well, I accept.
Well, George even says, I used to really respect him. He was like the other knight, like the knight that I looked up to, so...
You know,
yeah, like George is pretty much like, this is the guy I grew up and saw him be a knight and thought, I want to do this.
You know, I would love to have, it kind of makes you want to see, like, if you could reverse time and have a young, before he burnt out Chapman face George in his prime, I feel like there would have been a lot of pomp and circumstance, a lot of, like you said, Spence, like the challenge and the glove. And
it would have been a very Trazian fight.
Absolutely. Trays would be eating this up from his rose-scented bath.
And all of the nobility, both from France and from England, would be up in their airships watching from on high. Some of them would get shot down, but it would all be for the glory of the monarchies.
Have we gotten any blimps? Remind me, did we get blimps? Because it seems like we should have had airships.
We did when we were in the France episode.
Oh, yeah.
The princess was up on an air machine or whatever,
yes,
watching the fight.
We have them exclusively in Neo France because France.
Yes, and I could definitely see Trace like watching this fight, a young Chapman versus George, going, Lady Unn, Their rifles haven't forgotten how to kill. He just strokes the really long revolver, surprisingly sitting next to his rose-scented bath.
Yep.
Still one of the greatest things ever. This gun has forgotten how to kill. I didn't know a gun had a memory, but whatever.
It's fine.
It's fine.
But
Also, here we go, Domon being a hypocrite again, because he wants to fight Chapman and he's losing, and George saves his butt. George shows up, injured and all.
Yeah, but there's a lot of cheating going on, so it's a little bit of a wiffle waffle, right? Like,
well, George is pretty much just saying, like, I'll take care of all the dummies, you fight Chapman.
Sadly,
And that's apparently at this point enough for Domon to just be like, to know which one of them is Chapman and to fight him.
Oh, yeah, apparently it's just one. All George had to defeat was one, because that's all the animation budget could call.
Well, he defeated all the other ones, so...
Yeah, and my thing is, I do like Chapman's fighting style. With or without the fog and everything like that, it's still a smart thing, because remember, in an official Gundam fight, you lose when your head is destroyed, not the cockpit. Mm-hmm. So why not fight at a distance? Why not use a long weapon and just pop their head off? Like,
that aspect does take away from his PTSD story a little bit, though, because it's like he's really busted up over shooting robots that aren't really hurting anybody. Anyway.
Maybe, but now, Hugh, correct me if I'm wrong, because it's been a minute since I watched the series. There were deaths in the earlier tournaments, weren't there?
I think there might have been, but I don't.
If that was the backstory reveal, like he killed somebody he really respected or something back in the day, and that kind of really deepened it, that would maybe like sell it a little more. But I was a little off put by the fact that it's like, oh, yeah, you just kind of shoot them in the robot head, but that's not actually hurting anybody.
Yeah, this series does do a lot of, well, they're warriors, but also they're just athletes, and it doesn't really know, it like wants to have it both ways.
So I did also notice the interface was a little weird on this rifle situation, because sometimes he's essentially like miming holding a gun, like a pistol almost to the head or whatever when he's using it. And then there are a couple of sequences where he's holding it much more like a rifle, sort of up to his eye, but he's got, or you can almost think of it as like a drawn bow kind of position, but he's got this energy arcing between his hands as if that's prepared to release in the firing mechanism. And it's
okay,
not
so
very
posture
consistent.
is important, and I will get to that as soon as you're done with your statement.
Go for it.
So, when you are shooting a sniper rifle, it should not, but it has a very similar posture that drawing a bow would when you are shooting from a standing position, as opposed to when you are shooting prone, because the butt of the rifle has to go back to your shoulder, and you have to stabilize it with the hand that's going to pull the trigger. You have a handhold in the front to steady your aim. So it does look significantly like a drawn bow. The decision to do that posture was very good. Now, you can wield it like a shotgun, which is when he's like up close, and you're single-handing a shotgun, which looks cool but is extremely dangerous for your body, because
your wrists
will hurt so bad. But yeah, so that the posturing animation was actually really good, and that's all I have to say.
Yeah, and it's interesting, right? Like there's a lot of philosophical pandering in this episode that, like you said, just doesn't hit quite home. And I think, again, in a better series, or even if we had got a two-parter with this episode, I think it would have done a lot better, especially if we could have got more between Rain and Minone. And also maybe Domon, not even Domon. Let's take Domon out of this. But can you imagine if it was George in the casino playing cards against Chapman, and it was a lot of them back and forth across the table? and George loses, but he accepts the defeat gracefully, but then finds and realizes that Chapman was cheating, and that's the thing that shatters his image of Chapman. And then we get the fight between George and Chapman cheats and George loses, and then Domon has to be the one to kind of restore George's honor.
Well, here I think we're getting a little bit of the loss of simplification of having it be one of these one fight an episode kind of shows. Like, if we had the ability to spread out more of the backstory and say we'd had a build-up of Gentle Chapman's history in previous episodes, like, oh, he's the champion a few times running, you could find a reason to mention that, or have George mentioned back in the George episode about, I'm going to do Gentle Chapman proud, or whatever, something to that.
I can't lose to you, Domon, because there's someone I have to defeat first.
Yeah, just, kind of build, and there's so many of these hooks that we could. The only person who really has that flow right now is Jibbity Cricket or whatever, Crockett. Because he shows up and he's like a through thread, but he's almost like just a bull that shows up in China Shop and is like, no, inject me into your episode. I'm going to fight Chico Rodriguez.
Well, yeah, because he's the American.
Yeah,
well, I think like this last couple of episodes and this next episode, we're just being reintroduced to the 4 other pilots.
Yeah,
but
we had the episodes where they fought Domon. Now they're sort of allies to Domon, and we're seeing that relationship evolve, because Domon's not going to be like, we need to work together for a thing, because that's not how Domon rolls.
Yeah, especially as we closed out the episode, this felt like the first fight, to me at least, where we were encountering an enemy that probably wasn't going to show up again, did not have any further continuity, and probably shouldn't have any further continuity. Like, I guess Chico to some extent too, but I don't expect this guy to have a redemption arc. Like, I feel like the best thing for him was to lose and for it to be done now.
Yeah, I think for him, again, it's either you come home carrying your shield, or you come home carried on it. And I think finding a place where he can go out on his shield was the best ending for him, or he would have continued to try. And I think that's kind of the thing they were going for at the end, which I think this will lead us into our favorite parts and my favorite part is the final speech that Minone gives to Domon, George, and Rain when she says, when she says, look at this. This is what you have to look forward to if you continue down this path. This is the fate of a warrior. And I just really like that. Because to be fair, I don't think she's really talking to George. George is there, but I don't think she's talking to George. This is squarely laid at the feet of Domon Kashu, Mr. I'm obsessed with nothing but fighting and looking for my brother who killed my mother because I'm obsessed. And I think this is speaking directly to him. And Rain.
And Rain, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, because she definitely, Minone says a bunch of times, yeah, he reminds me of you when you were young, Gentle.
And then she says, I think you like him too. Yeah. And that whole scene was a little creepy, but that is also my favorite part, so I will get to that.
Yeah. So yeah, that like I said, that was my favorite part. That little line as Gentle dies at sunset in her arms, she then, gives that warning to Rain Domon of, this is the future of a warrior. This is your fate if you follow this path.
Yeah, it's like, but you don't have to.
Yeah, and she's like, but you don't have to. Like, it's still early enough for you all that you can change this. Although we know Domon's hard-headed, so it's fine.
Yeah. Well, despite all the philosophical hooks, I have to say that my favorite sequence was actually just purely based on the animation and the actual fighting. It was really good to see George again in that little part at the start, even though it was really brutal when George lost. I found it very effective as a fight sequence, and it was nice to see a little bit of the tussling going on there.
Rose bit. Mm-hmm. The solo bit. Which is kind of poetic, thinking about it. It was his last chance, his last little gasp towards victory was a single rose. He likes seal.
What about you? What about you, Hugh? What was your favorite moment?
I think my favorite part was actually the sequence inside the casino bar. Just because I thought it was something like very interesting, and it definitely felt like it was pulling from like Casino Royale and that sort of like British
The Bondian tradition, yeah, absolutely.
poker game with him with Chapman in his like scarf, and he's smoking his cigarette, and he's talking about, what are you prepared to lose, Mr.
See, and
Cashew?
even when he's caught out cheating, he's very cool about it.
Yeah,
it's getting a lot of Doc Holliday Tombstone vibes, like the scene where they were playing poker, and obviously the game's rigged, and Kurt Russell's character is allowing the guy from the Cowboys or whatever they're called, the guys wearing the red sash, he's allowing him to win as to not cause a fight. By the way, I love to.
Yeah, and then like you have that very like tense scene that Rain just kind of wanders into, and then like three people pull guns on her, and she's just like.
And you get
funny.
the first differentiation that she's Japanese and they're not, because she gets anime eyes.
Yep.
Also, Ray, at this point, we're what, 8 episodes in? 9, 8, 7? Yeah.
Yeah, this is 9.
Come on, Rain. Just go to Chivity Crockett. It's fine. Like, it's fine. You could probably negotiate him out of the bunny suits. Like,
yeah.
You could talk him out of it, I think. I think he would respect your opinion.
At this point, like, if you go back on your word, I'll never talk to you again, is Rain's catchphrase.
That and being knocked unconscious. This is 2 episodes in a row. Oh, no. I'm sorry. She got knocked out. Yeah, no, it was 2 episodes in a row. And she's been knocked unconscious because of Domon. Like, Chimney Crockett, it's fine. Like, it's fine. You're backing the wrong horse. It's fine. So how about you, Spence?
Spence, was there anything you wanted to add about your favorite part?
Oh, just how, depending on your mindset, the whole exchange between Manon and Gentle about Domon and how they're like, that young man, we should invite him to tea. You like him, don't you? Do as you wish. You like him too. This could either be really sweet. And, they're like, yeah, he could be like our adopted grandson or whatever. It's super cute. I see a lot of you in him. Or it could be very adult, and I don't necessarily want to go there, but my head did go there when I was watching that sequence.
I mean, they could have been hunting.
Who knows what
they
those
could
pills are
indeed
for?
have been unicorn hunting. It's true.
They could have been. To get some young blood in their relationship to help spice things up a little bit. I mean, let's be honest. That would be an interesting tango with Domon Kashu there. Like, because needless to say, the whole time he'd be like, you could fight me, Chapman. It doesn't matter.
I'm not going to fight you in Gundams.
like just Domon in the middle of whatever they're doing. You could just fight me. Like, just like the dinner they're eating at the table. Man, people are so rude. Fight me, Chapman. It's
like, what are you prepared to lose if you lose this hand of cards?
Oh boy, that changes.
Oh yeah.
Boy. Oh, look what you've done, Spence.
I have corrupted all of you. Yes.
And in that case, all of a sudden, a man tries not to think about what might happen if he loses, becomes really coy, like.
So what we've learned is that Domon has a thing for older men.
Oh God, we're really
now canon in my head.
We're really gonna learn that in 2 episodes.
Oh yeah, there's so much here that I don't want to even touch yet. But
we got one more episode and things get real good. Although to be fair, things get real stupid next episode.
Oh yeah, like next episode is Gundam episode 10, Terror the Phantom Fighter, and it is definitely the episode where Domon fights a mummy.
Oh, good.
So I may have to check out of that one.
But it is a plot important mummy, is the thing.
No, I don't want to do it. Don't make me do it.
Think of it this way. Think of Mum Ra the Ever Living, but in a mech.
No, that's terrifying.
Does it help if the giant robot is also a mummy?
No, that makes it worse.
I'm sorry.
The implications there, like, did priests go through a ritual of pulling that robot's brains out? Anyway, whatever.
We can hypothesize about that next week.
Yeah. Join us for that next week. Until next week, you can find all our show notes over at nostalgiapilots.com. You can follow me at hughjodonald.com.
You can find all my stuff over at skinner.fm.
And you can find me at nerdswithvoices.com as well as on twitch.tv/jtrooper501 where I like lose in PvP and stuff.
And you can find me at resonantmoon.com, and you can find all of my crafty creations at Fibermancers for Hire on Etsy. And that's Fibermancers, the number 4, Hire. And Jason is currently wearing the dice bag I made for him.
I found it.
This is not a hack.
Until next week, this tea is from Wales.
Should I have gotten you something stronger with milk?
He's taking stimulants. Cookie.